Welcome back to Watch God Work, your portal to the mysteries of the past. Today we're diving deep into a time shrouded in shadow and whispered legends, the Dark Ages. History remembers it as an era of plague, superstition and brutality. But how much of that is true, and how much is just, well, medieval propaganda? Buckle up, history buffs, because we're about to unearth some crazy facts about the Dark Ages that will leave you utterly speechless. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk about healthcare in the Dark Ages, or should I say the lack thereof. Imagine a world without antibiotics, painkillers, or even basic hygiene. If you got sick, your options were limited, to say the least.
Bloodletting, for example, was a go-to treatment for pretty much everything from a headache to the plague. The idea was to drain out the bad blood, but more often than not, it just weakened the patient. And then there were leeches. These slimy little creatures were considered miracle workers when it came to cleansing the body. They were used for everything from infections to obesity. But the real head-scratcher? Trepanation. This gruesome procedure involved drilling a hole in the skull to release evil spirits thought to be causing headaches, seizures, or even mental illness. Can you imagine volunteering for brain surgery with crude tools and no anesthesia?
It's safe to say that a visit to the medieval doctor was often more terrifying than the ailment itself. Picture this. The Catholic Church, a towering force in the Dark Ages, held the keys to knowledge, controlling what people could learn, read, and even think.
Monasteries became the guardians of ancient texts, their libraries housing the remnants of classical knowledge. But access to these treasures was tightly controlled. The Church's interpretation of the Bible shaped every aspect of life, from science and philosophy to art and music. Ideas that challenged their doctrines were deemed heretical and often met with swift and brutal punishment.
Imagine the countless brilliant minds whose ideas were stifled, the groundbreaking discoveries that were lost, all because they dared to question the Church's authority. The Dark Ages were, in many ways, a battleground for intellectual freedom. Chapter 3. When Superstition Ruled the World. The Dark Ages were a time when superstition seeped into every crack and crevice of life. Imagine a world where shadows whispered secrets, and every rustle in the forest could be a mythical beast. People truly believed in witches, werewolves, vampires, and dragons. These creatures weren't just campfire stories, they were real threats lurking in the darkness.
A bad harvest, a sudden illness, or even a string of bad luck could be blamed on witchcraft. Accusations flew like arrows, often fueled by fear, envy, or the desire for power. And the punishments for those accused? Let's just say they were as creative as they were cruel. From drownings and burnings to hangings and crushings, the methods of dealing with suspected witches were the stuff of nightmares.
Chapter 4. The Black Death, a terror that defined an era. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the buboes on the body, the Black Death. This wasn't just a plague. It was a cataclysmic event that reshaped the very fabric of society. Imagine waking up to a world where death lurked around every corner, where the stench of decay filled the air and the cries of the sick and dying echoed through the streets.
The Black Death, a merciless plague spread by fleas on rats, tore through Europe like wildfire, wiping out an estimated 1/3 of the population. Entire villages were decimated, leaving behind ghost towns haunted by the memory of unimaginable suffering. People were desperate for a cure, turning to everything from bloodletting and prayer to flagellation, and even drinking molten gold. But the plague was relentless, leaving a trail of devastation and despair in its wake.
Chapter 5, Trial by Ordeal, where justice got weird. Forget lawyers and juries. In the Dark Ages, justice was often a matter of divine intervention, or at least that's what they wanted you to believe. Trial by ordeal was the name of the game, a brutal system where guilt or innocence was decided by the ability to withstand excruciating pain.
Imagine being accused of a crime and then being forced to walk across burning coals, plunge your arm into boiling water, or even swallow poison. If you emerged unscathed, you were considered innocent. Clearly, God was on your side. But if you suffered burns, scalding, or, well, death, then it was seen as proof of your guilt. It's hard to imagine a more barbaric way to administer justice, but hey, at least it was entertaining. These trials were often public spectacles, drawing crowds eager to witness the gruesome display. It's a chilling reminder of how far we've come in our pursuit of a fair and just legal system.
So, there you have it. A glimpse into the wild, wacky, and often downright terrifying world of the Dark Ages. It was a time of immense hardship, but also incredible resilience, innovation, and faith. While we often focus on the darkness, it's important to remember that this era laid the foundation for the Renaissance, a period of unprecedented artistic, scientific, and cultural growth. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history's shadowy corners. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing historical deep dives. Until next time, keep exploring the past.